Here at St. Louis University High School, sports are a big part of student life. From football to soccer, from cross country to basketball, athletic competition is everywhere. But should playing a sport at SLU be mandatory for every student? Today, we will explore both sides of that debate. Currently, SLU offers student athletes 20 interscholastic sports in which they can grow, compete, and build brotherhood. SLU encourages sports participation, but it is not a requirement for students. Advocates argue that sports teach teamwork, discipline, and fitness. Others believe students should have the freedom to choose their extracurriculars. Let's hear from both sides.
Perfect. Do you think it should be mandatory to be playing a sport at SLU?
So I think it should be mandatory for freshmen. I think, in some ways it'd be really good for freshmen, like you said, to be part of something bigger, to be a part of a community. We have 21 sports, so you can find something. Mm-hmm. If we were a school that only had 8, you don't want 100, 80-pound kids playing football that don't want to be out there. I think when you get to the varsity level, it kind of gets to be more of a commitment, and that's where you kind of want people, rowing in the same direction. I often said one of my flaws or something I need to work on as a coach is I keep guys in that might not want to be in. Now, there are some success stories with that. Right. And then there are guys that I kind of get to the end of the year, I'm like, I should have just let him quit. And it's hard to know that. I think if it's mandatory for everybody, it gets even harder with that. But I do think as a freshman, it's probably a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there are any cons that come with playing a varsity sport?
With playing a varsity sport, if you don't know how to time manage, I think it's a kind of a difficult thing. One of the things, Max, that I found in this, I've heard some schools where it's like you have to either play a sport or be in the play, or be in the band. Yeah. Because I think the big idea is being part of something bigger than yourself. It's a world where it's very easy to isolate and kind of get too connected to your phone or stuff like that. But again, we have esports, we have a large variety of sports that I think guys can kind of find something. So cons, varsity sport, time management if you're not ready for it, and things like that.
State your name.
Caleb, or Lil Smoogie.
And what sports do you play?
I play football, I wrestle, and I play rugby.
All right. Do you think it should be mandatory for someone at SLU to play a sport?
I think it should be mandatory for students to play at least one sport a year, just to kind of force them to get out there and put themselves out there and make new friends.
How has playing 3 sports helped you?
I've created some really good bonds. I've gotten to know my teammates in each sport really, really well. And I think they're all guys I'm going to be hanging out with and talking to even 40 years from now.
All right. Are there any cons of playing a sport at SLU?
I think one of the big cons to playing a sport at SLU is that you don't have a lot of time for schoolwork after your sport, especially with schedule changes and adjustments that are made throughout the season.
As well as having great athletic programs, SLU has a bundle of co-curriculars that can fit the needs of any student. SLU's co-curricular program offers more than 75 clubs and student activities such as theater, robotics, and literature, to STEM, social justice, and sustainability. These all provide abundant opportunity for social, spiritual, physical, emotional, and intellectual growth.
And occupation.
I am Ms. Ice, and I'm a teacher of youth.
Do you think it should be mandatory to play a sport at SLU?
No.
And why is that?
I am a big believer in just student choice and empowerment. I don't think you should force a kid to do something they don't want to do, within reason, obviously. I think students should be able to participate in the activities that they want to participate in, and that's not necessarily a sport.
Would you say there are any pros to playing a sport?
Yes, I would say definitely there are pros. I do think that some of my best students that I've ever taught are really good student athletes. I think playing a sport forces you to find good time management skills and discipline. So those are definitely pros.
What about any cons?
Time, right? So it is a big chunk of time if you're going to play a sport, especially if you're one of the people that is actually playing, not just warming the bench. So going to those games, those events, that's a time commitment. The after school stuff. I mean, I know that sometimes kids play a sport, they're not home till 8 o'clock at night. So that's a time commitment for you and also your family. So if you're a freshman and you're not driving, your family is also sort of playing the sport with you. So that's a huge con.
My name is Caleb Bierker, and I play rugby.
All right, Caleb. Do you think it should be mandatory to play a sport at SLU?
At SLU, no.
Why is that?
I think no, because people have many different talents, and I feel like sports isn't the only way somebody can express their talents. I feel like sports is a good way. I feel like it's not the only way, however. There's students that are smart, that are really smart and take all hard classes, and so maybe that hour and a half practice every day is too much for them. And there's kids that like dance, I think that is something that they can do that I wouldn't, or maybe dance. Would you consider dance a sport?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so let me take that out as an example. There are kids that like to play chess. I don't think chess is a sport.
No, not a sport.
It's a hobby, and that's something that you can do. However, I don't think it's a sport.
Do you find any pros to playing sports, Caleb?
I find many pros. Friendship, big time. Leadership can grow through sports. Communication. I mean, yada yada yada. The list goes on. Many good things come from being active in an athletic team.
Are there any cons to playing sports?
Injuries that can cost a lot. I've tore my ACL. That was a pretty penny paid for my new knee. Again, maybe at times if you have a toxic team, maybe that can lower your morale as a person and make you not want to do the sport that should be loving you back,
I feel that.
There are strong arguments on both sides. Being a part of sports can make you a part of something bigger than just yourself. Being a part of something bigger can bring you many different opportunities in the future. Sports can teach valuable lessons that will be used all throughout life. But students also benefit from having the freedom to pursue their own interests. These interests let students grow and experience some of the real-world challenges and opportunities of being able to choose their own path. So, should SLU require every student to play a sport? The decision isn't simple, and it's up to the SLU community to decide what's best for its students.